A lot of people talk about the armed invasion of Taiwan. Actually, I don't believe Xi Jinping would do that ever.
Will China invade Taiwan? According to a Chinese insider, it will never use military force to take over Taiwan. Beijing's real agenda is a lot harder to detect and a lot more sinister because it targets not only your perception of China, it targets your perception of your very own system.
A lot of people talk about the armed invasion of Taiwan. The CCP will invade Taiwan in 2027, which means next year, or 2030. But actually, I don't believe Xi Jinping would do that ever, because Xi Jinping doesn't trust his general. If he gave them the authority to command the military, if they gave them the guns, he cannot imagine what they will do with those power and guns. What if they turn against himself?
It's true that Xi Jinping is highly paranoid, like any other dictators in the world. China's Ministry of National Defense has expelled 9 generals from the party. I think it's a combination of the nature of being a dictator. It's hard for you to trust anybody when you are in that position, but also Xi Jinping's own childhood. He was betrayed by his own mother during the Cultural Revolution, who snitched on her own son. So he is a little bit more paranoid than your average, already paranoid dictator, I'd say.
If Xi Jinping wants to control a place, his strategy, no matter it's Taiwan or South Korea or like United States or Australia, what he will do is exactly what he does here. That's infiltration and subversion from within. That is America against America.
It's funny that he used the phrase America against America. This is not just some random phrasing that he came up on the spot. This is actually from the party's chief ideologist. He coined this phrase in Chinese when he wrote a book literally called America Against America in 1991 after his American tour.
For example, in Taiwan, I'm sure Xi Jinping's strategy is basically to control one party, name it KMT or any other party, and then probably control their Congress, and then they do something, and then they try to control the media of Taiwan in Taiwan, try to brainwash people, try to glorify CCP, and to make Taiwan people feel like, okay, it's nothing wrong to get united with CCP. I think they are strategy in Taiwan. They're using Taiwan against Taiwan. They're using South Korea against South Korea. They're using America against America.
The numbers are also backing this up. Taiwan's National Security Bureau have documented a surge in numbers of people prosecuted for PRC espionage. They're definitely ramping up this infiltration and subversion activities from within. I have never seen a regime or a government that does subversion and infiltration better than the PRC. It's not an accident that the PRC is able to brainwash millions of people in China. They are systematic, they're smart, they study Western history. I mean, you would be surprised by how many Chinese scholars have read through American history and studied you extensively just so they would know where you're vulnerable and attack. Another great example to this argument is Hong Kong. They were able to take Hong Kong back before the agreed upon date without sending any tank to Hong Kong. I also think it's important to note that just because they're not firing guns at you, it doesn't mean it's not a war that they're waging. It's just a much smarter way to bend your will.
Because of the information warfare from China or other authoritarian country, even for us, we're questioning the system. We're questioning
absolutely
democratic system, and we're losing faith.
I think the people of Taiwan are pretty sophisticated.
Yes.
But to realize that there's an effort out there not to take Taiwan militarily, although they're that too, but there's an effort to break your will. There's an effort to convince the people of Taiwan democracy's too messy. It doesn't deliver. The elegant simplicity of an authoritarian system like the CCP and being able to take decisions quickly and operate with efficiency.
Here's something that I think a lot of people in the West do miss on what's going on in Taiwan, and it sounds like straight from a spy movie like a Soviet Union spy movie. Chinese nationals, they would marry a Taiwanese person. At first, they might seem very pro Taiwan, all for the independence of Taiwan. But recently, we've seen that these spouses have come out and they seem to be carrying out these political missions in subverting the Taiwanese people, trying to convince them that the PRC is not as bad as they think. And I know for a foreign year, this might sound very unbelievable, that it's so ridiculous, why would you do that? But I actually grew up watching Chinese state-produced TV shows describing just that, about how after the Civil War there are Chinese Communist Party members who pretend to fall in love with someone on a mission assigned by the Chinese Communist Party. And we've seen that when they're trying to harmonize the Uyghur population in Xinjiang, there are forced marriages. So when you live under an authoritarian regime, nothing is off limits. Your life, your marriage, nothing is personal. It's theirs when they see fit to utilize.
For many people, they look at China, the PRC, and they're like, oh, look at this incredible development of a rich country. And I look at it and think, just imagine if it had developed with a degree of freedom. Just imagine if Xi Jinping didn't fear his people. What would we see in the world today? And Taiwan has created a model, very Taiwanese, that has brought the power of freedom, democracy, and economic prosperity together.
People often talk about how advanced China's technology is or how rich the Chinese people are. It's not true, but people tend to forget how well Taiwan has been doing, and more importantly, how well the Taiwanese people are doing. When China's economy is plummeting, China's GDP per capita is only a third of Taiwan's. Not to mention, Taiwan has one of the world's most advanced healthcare system. Many people don't know Taiwan is home to some of Asia's best doctors. I mean, they speak the same language. There are variations, I'll admit. There are dialects and everything, but we understand each other. We, at some point, came from the same country. The only big difference here is one is a democracy, another one is an authoritarian regime.
And there's a saying in Chinese that you cannot rely on democracy. 民主不能当饭吃. You cannot rely on your livelihood on democracy. Do you agree with that? And for those who have this notion, what would you say to him?
Look, this is a sinister way of often dictatorial regimes, authoritarians, to erode in people's mind, to question democracy.
Yeah.
All right, democracy is the source, first of all, of feeding your soul, your spirit with a sense of dignity. I respect you, your opinion, your ability to marry, worship, be with your family. Without dignity, it is hard for the human soul, human spirit to flourish. That flourishing is connected to prosperity. And what democracy does, it doesn't make you wealthy. It creates an environment in which shared prosperity.
I love how he mentioned the word dignity. I'll be honest with you, it is not as convenient to live in the West, but you feel more like a human. I feel like even though it's not as convenient, I feel like I'm living more as a full person. And it's something that it's very hard for me to explain to my friends who were born and raised here. And many immigrants from China will tell you the same thing. I'll give another example. A lot of people rave about the robust education system. The stereotype is that Chinese people are really good at math, but all the worldly known award-winning mathematicians only got their awards and really advanced their career, flourished after they left China. That education system destroys individuality, destroys creativity because it is an education system built in by an authoritarian regime.
Authoritarian regimes look very stable, very strong, but the truth is they are brittle because they don't have the feedback mechanisms, the loops of self-correcting mechanisms.
Yes.
Taiwan today looks messy. The United States today looks messy because we're frustrated, we're arguing, we're pointing out all of our shortcomings, but you're going to see Americans point out shortcomings in Americans.
Yes, exactly.
which is what will fuel people younger than me saying, we're fed up with this.
Yes.
And it helps promote change over time, which is why our societies are not brittle. They're actually incredibly resilient.
I agree that the Chinese society is not as stable as it seems, but I also think over the years the PRC has progressed in that regard. The PRC has learned how to nip protests in the bud, so it seems more stable. I think the point here is that it doesn't matter if it's stable. North Korea could be the most stable country in the world. It doesn't mean that anybody would want to live there. And yes, what comes with freedom of expression is a little bit of chaos that I think we all have to tolerate. I would choose a little bit of chaos over the state-forced stability on any given day. That being said, the Chinese government does see the chaotic nature of a democracy as one of its greatest vulnerabilities. And they are doing everything to exploit that. Oh, you have freedom of speech? We will insert our own narrative into your free world. We will control your media. We will bring in a diverse point of view. We will confuse your audience. All of these things can never happen in China in reverse. So they're protecting their narrative domestically while doing everything they can to use your advantage against you. And this goes back to the very beginning of this video, and that is the core guideline of the Chinese Communist Party when it comes to the misinformation war, and that is America against America.